Mr. Mayor, I move that council approve a resolution of support for ITFederal LLC as passed out this evening. Second.
Motion made second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just had a couple questions. I wanted to thank Mr. Herbeck for bringing this forward. There's a lot in here that I really like. We are all very excited about 600 jobs being brought to Front Royal. I had a question about the fourth paragraph, the fourth whereas, and I'll just read it because I don't know if the public has this printed out. Whereas the EDA has factual evidence that ITFederal has been the recipient of awards of substantial federal contracts, which is one reason why Virginia Congressman Bob Goodlatte has strongly promoted ITFederal's location in the town of Front Royal. So I was happy to read this because this is what I was asking for on October 24th for the EDA to give us some factual evidence that ITFederal has been the recipient of awards of substantial federal contracts. So I'm assuming that we have that factual evidence?
Ms. McDonald has seen the award letters.
But we as a council haven't seen them.
I've been told by Ms. McDonald she's seen the award letters.
So when I asked her for the factual evidence, she said that nobody was allowed to see
The contracts.
the contracts, but I said we don't need to see the contracts, we just needed to know that they had been the recipient, like this says, the recipient of awards of substantial federal contracts. And as far as I know, no one on council or town staff has seen that evidence, and I may be wrong, that's why I was hoping someone would have it tonight.
The town does not have it. The EDA has seen the factual evidence, which is what the resolution says.
Right, but she's unable to give us.
I don't think she has copies of those letters.
So she doesn't have factual evidence if she doesn't have copies
She's
of the letters.
seen the letters.
But she's not in possession of the letters. She doesn't have factual evidence.
I don't know that she has copies of them.
So that's what I was asking for, and I was hoping that someone would have that. And I think maybe we should strike that line if the EDA does not have factual evidence and we have not seen the factual evidence. Because I was hoping that we would have that tonight. That's what I was asking for in October. So I would move first, Mr. Mayor, to strike that to amend to strike. Well, we could strike the whole paragraph. That's my motion, is to strike the whole fourth paragraph.
Councilman Edgar has requested to amend to strike paragraph 4. Is there a second? Is there a second? There appears to be no second, so the motion fails for lack of a second.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask a question of Mr. Napier? Did we circulate this over to the EDA?
I did not.
Then, I would be comfortable as the maker of the motion as saying has seen evidence as opposed to indicating that they actually have it in their office.
I'll second that.
Okay, wait a minute, so Councilman Herbeck has amended to say
It would be
whereas
striking
the EDA has seen
evidence.
and it has been seconded by, the amendment has been seconded by Vice Mayor Tharp. So at this time, we are having discussions on that amendment.
Would that be seen or just reviewed? Actual evidence, would that make more sense?
Review would be perfectly fine.
Willing to rescind your second?
Yes.
Change it to review.
I apologize.
And I'll second that.
Okay, so now,
Second, the apology.
the amendment now states, whereas the EDA has reviewed evidence that ITFederal. Is there any further discussion?
I'm just wondering, Mr. Mayor, if my colleagues here on town council are comfortable that we as a town have not seen factual evidence in any substantial form. We saw more from our little brew pub that's opening on the end of Main Street than we've ever seen from ITFederal. So I'm not questioning Mr. Herbeck's statement that the EDA has reviewed factual evidence. But I'm wondering from my colleagues if they could let me know if they are comfortable signing this, in light of the fact that we as a council have not seen any factual evidence.
I think their approval of the amendment would verify that they are satisfied with that.
Well, that is true. We haven't voted yet though, so.
Is there any other discussion on the amendment? No other discussion on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment to change the whereas the EDA has factual will be changed, evidence will be changed to whereas the EDA has reviewed evidence. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that's the amendment. Now we're back to the original amended motion.
I had another question. Well, actually, if I could just stick with that paragraph for one moment. I haven't shared this with any of my councilmen, and I apologize for doing that, but I had asked Jennifer what her correspondence with the congressman was after I had asked that we send a letter. So Jennifer had emailed me. She sent me her email to Congressman Goodlatt's office. She had gotten in touch with him the very next day. I believe it was November 14th or something, and asked that we were asking for him to send a letter stating that due diligence had been done to make sure ITFederal was the recipient of substantial federal contracts. They didn't get back to her. She got back to them the very next day, and then the following day they answered her, and his office told her that they didn't have any information for us, that Congressman Goodlatt was not willing to do that. So I'm wondering if anybody on council talked to his office because his official response to the EDA was basically that he didn't have an answer. He didn't have a response for us.
Mr. Mayor, is that relevant to the resolution at hand before
It's
us?
just because of the part where it says Congressman Goodlatt has strongly promoted ITFederal's location in the town of Front Royal, but when we asked him to do that on paper, he declined.
Mr. Mayor, I have only seen glowing reviews of this project from the Congressman's office. Congressman's office issued a joint press release with the EDA. He's been instrumental in bringing this corporation to Front Royal and making sure that they came to his district and not some other place in Virginia or into Maryland. So I don't see how the statement in the resolution can be in question. He has promoted this project. Because he did not acquiesce to a single council member's request of his office in November does not negate any of the other work that he's done on this project.
Are you trying to amend the motion? Or?
Well, it's gonna fail, but I'm just asking my colleagues up here if any of them have gotten a written statement from Congressman Goodlatt's office that he is vouching for ITFederal as a legitimate company. So I guess that's a no. So I just had one other question in regards to the paragraph about our staff doing everything possible to move this along. And I'm just wondering from Jeremy, maybe if I could ask Jeremy what the status is of the applications on ITFederal's project, if you could answer that for us.
The status has remained unchanged for quite some time. We have an approved site plan, approved rezoning. The revised plans have not been submitted as indicated by the EDA that they would be. We're still expecting those to be submitted soon, but there has been no submission to date.
So the earlier site plan and the rezoning, that was all done at the end of 2014, if I'm remembering correctly. The rezoning was done before I was elected, before I came
Yeah,
on.
they were all done at the same time.
Okay. Thank you. The other information that I had that I wanted to share with council regarding actually this EDA newsletter that we just got was mentioning again, and Jennifer had mentioned that the project had been held up by DEQ and EPA waiting for the permits. I got in touch with Michelle Payne from DEQ and also Jeff Thomas from the EPA, spoke to them both over the phone, and they both indicated to me that there has been nothing on their end recently that would have held up the project at all. I know DEQ, it states in the EDA meeting minutes that DEQ's final permit was in last November, December. That's in their meeting minutes from a year ago. And the gentleman from EPA also mentioned that there would have been nothing on their end to hold up the project. So I found that odd. I wanted to share that with council because I hadn't had a chance to do that yet. But I, for one, am very uncomfortable signing this, not because I'm against ITFederal or I'm against good paying jobs, but that I still have not seen any factual evidence from ITFederal about their awards of federal contracts. And I think for such a big project, $40 million project that was supposed to be a third of the way done by now, it's asking a lot, I think, of the council to be kept in the dark. I don't understand all the secrecy. I don't understand why we as a council, when we ask for information that directly affects us, directly affects our citizens, that we can't be given that information. That makes me feel very uncomfortable. It makes me feel like even more that we should be given the information from such a large company that's doing such a large project. I would think they would want to have all of the information to all the necessary parties so that everyone is on the same page. So I feel very uncomfortable signing this based on the fact that we have seen no factual evidence. And like I said, I'm not disputing the fact that Brett is saying the EDA has seen it, but we as a town council have not seen it, and that makes me very uncomfortable. And it makes me uncomfortable that all of us would act like that's not a problem.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, I don't want to belabor this one, but we've been talking about this thing for 45 days at least or more. It's not our project. That's what I don't understand why we're making such an issue. It is a project that's being done by the EDA. And we're not involved in this at all in any manner, shape, or form. Why are we causing such a ruckus on a project that we have no influence on to begin with? It is in Front Royal, but it's being handled through the county, through their EDA department. And I am thoroughly convinced that if Jennifer McDonald says it's an ongoing project, it will come to fruition. And it's no sense of us continuing to talk about it or talking about the owner or whoever, because it's not our problem. It belongs to the EDA, and I'm tired of hearing it. And I'm ready to vote on this. So I'm going to call for questions, and hopefully we can get on with voting on this resolution.
Seconded on the call for the question.
All in favor of the call for question?
Aye. Aye.
Okay. All right, we have the resolution to vote on with the one amended change. All in, let's do a roll call vote, Ms. Perry, since it is recorded on the actual resolution.
Councilman Connolly.
Yes.
Councilman Egger.
No.
Councilman Herbeck.
Yes.
Councilman Meza.
Yes.
Councilman T. Walsh.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Thurman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. There being no further business to come before this council, this meeting is